head by armed vessels. They behave as if they expect war. Vexstar nodded grimly and changed the display to show intercepted communications and intelligence reports. Our analysis indicates that human military technology has advanced far beyond what should be possible for such a young species. They've gone from primitive chemical rockets to faster-than-light travel in less than 2 centuries. Most species take millennia to achieve such progress. The ethereal collective's representative, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline form, pulsed with different colors as it spoke. More troubling is their resistance to our standard diplomatic pressure. When we restricted their access to certain trade routes, they simply found alternatives. When we limited their participation in galactic forums, they created their own networks. They adapt faster than we can react. Ambassador Krylonex shared new data with the group, her antennae twitching rapidly. The Hive's deep space monitoring stations have detected something unusual. Human colonies that appear to be simple farming worlds show energy signatures inconsistent with agricultural operations. We believe they're disguising military installations as civilian settlements. This revelation caused a stir throughout the chamber. The Aquatic Federation's representative, speaking through a water-filled communication tank, released a stream of bubbles that translated as concern. If true, this represents a level of deception unprecedented in galactic politics. No species has ever successfully hidden military buildups from Council intelligence networks. Vexstar's scales shifted to a dangerous dark red, which brings us to why we're here. The Galactic Council has maintained peace and order for over 5,000 years by ensuring that no single species becomes powerful enough to threaten the balance. Humanity has reached that threshold. He gestured, and the display changed to show Council fleet positions throughout the galaxy. Massive formations of warships, representing each member civilization, created an impressive show of force. We have 3 options. First, we can attempt further diplomatic pressure. Second, we can implement economic sanctions. Third, we can take direct military action to demonstrate the consequences of defying Council authority. The debate that followed revealed the Council's fundamental misunderstanding of their situation. Species after species spoke of humanity as if they were dealing with an upstart civilization that needed to be taught its place. The crystalline monarchy suggested destroying a few human outposts as an example. The mechanical collective proposed a complete blockade of human space. The Psionic Alliance recommended using mental influence to force compliance. General Zermath was more direct. Send a fleet to their most important colony. Give them an ultimatum. Submit to Council oversight or watch their settlements burn. Humans are emotional creatures. The threat to civilian lives will break their resistance. The vote was unanimous. Every Council member agreed that humanity needed to be contained before they became a genuine threat to galactic stability. They had used this approach dozens of times with other species over the millennia. The procedure was routine, predictable, and had never failed. 3 days later, a combined Council fleet consisting of over 200 warships jumped into the Sol system, humanity's home territory. The fleet was commanded by General Zermath himself, accompanied by Council Prime Vexstar, and a full diplomatic delegation. They expected to find a panicked human government ready to negotiate surrender terms. Instead, they found Captain Alina Vasquez waiting for them. Vasquez stood on the bridge of Terra Station, humanity's primary orbital facility, watching the approaching alien fleet through reinforced view. At 45, she was a veteran of humanity's colonial expansion efforts, with short-cropped grey hair and scars from a dozen different conflicts. She had spent her entire adult life preparing for this moment, and her calm demeanor reflected that preparation. The communication came exactly as predicted. General Zermath's armored form filled the main screen, flanked by Vexstar and the other council representatives. The alien general's translator converted his growls into threatening words. "Humans of the Sol System, I am General Zermath of the Galactic Council. Your species has violated established protocols for galactic expansion and military development. You will immediately cease all colonization activities beyond this system. All military installations on human colonies will be dismantled within 60 standard days. The human government will submit to Council oversight and guidance. Captain." Vasquez listened without expression, her hands clasped behind her back. Around her, the bridge crew continued their duties with practiced efficiency. They had rehearsed this scenario countless times. "And if we decline these terms?" Vasquez asked quietly. Vexstar stepped forward, his scales now bright red with aggression. "Then the Council will take corrective action. Your colonies will be blockaded. Military installations will be destroyed. Continued resistance will result in the complete isolation of humanity from galactic civilization." The silence stretched for nearly a minute as Vasquez appeared to consider the ultimatum. In reality, she was giving hidden human observers throughout the galaxy time to confirm that all Council fleets had committed to this operation. When she finally spoke, her voice carried a confidence that surprised the alien delegation. "I appreciate the Council's position," she said calmly. "However, I must respectfully decline your generous offer." The reaction was immediate. General Zermath's forearms spread wide in a gesture of disbelief. "Captain, you misunderstand the situation. The Council commands fleets that outnumber yours by factors of hundreds. Our technology surpasses yours by millennia. Resistance is not merely futile, it is impossible." For the first time in the conversation, Captain Vasquez smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "General, I think you're the one who misunderstands the situation. The United Terran Federation has been expecting this conversation for 30 years. Ambassador Krylenik's compound eyes reflected confusion as she processed this statement through the Hive's collective intelligence. "Impossible. Our intelligence networks monitor all human activities. You lack the capability to threaten even one council member, let alone 12. Your intelligence networks," Vasquez replied, "have been telling you exactly what we wanted them to hear." The council members exchanged glances for the first time in the conversation, uncertainty creeping into their expressions. Vasquez continued, her voice growing stronger with each word. "For 3 decades, every human colony you've watched us build has been designed as a fortress. Every trade agreement has included military supply contracts. Every cultural exchange has been an intelligence-gathering operation. Every diplomatic mission has been reconnaissance." Vexstar scales darkened. Too black, a color none of the council members had ever seen him display. "You dare threaten the Galactic Council?" "I'm not threatening anyone," Vasquez answered. "I'm simply informing you that humanity declines your offer of surrender. We prefer to remain free." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the council delegation staring at a blank screen. In the silence that followed, General Zermath turned to his tactical officers. "Signal all ships. Prepare for siege operations. If they want to learn their place, we'll teach them." But as the Council fleet moved into attack formation, long-range sensors began detecting something that made no sense according to their intelligence. Reports throughout the Sol System, installations they had identified as civilian infrastructure, were suddenly displaying military signatures. Mining stations revealed weapon arrays, cargo platforms extended missile batteries. Even the asteroid belt itself seemed to be moving with purpose. Most disturbing of all, dozens of ships were emerging from hidden bases throughout the system. Not the primitive vessels their intelligence had reported, but sleek, advanced warships that seemed to incorporate technology the Council didn't recognize. General Zermath stared at the tactical display as the number of human military assets continued to climb. This is impossible. Our intelligence clearly showed minimal defenses. Captain Vasquez's voice came over the communication channel one final time. General, your intelligence saw exactly what we wanted it to see. For 30 years, every Council spy, every diplomatic mission, every trade delegation has been fed carefully prepared information. You think you know humanity, but you know only what we chose to show you. The General's forehands gripped his command chair as the full scope of humanity's deception became clear. What are you? The Imperial machine unleashed the attack on the human colony of New Horizon came exactly 72 hours after the ultimatum's rejection. General Zermath had chosen this target. Carefully, intelligence reports indicated it was a simple agricultural world with minimal defenses, perfect for demonstrating the consequences of defying the Galactic Council. The plan was straightforward: overwhelm the colony's token defenses, destroy key infrastructure, and force humanity's surrender through fear. Admiral Marcus Chen watched the approaching Council fleet from the command bridge of the orbital station. Corona, hidden within what the aliens believed was a simple communications satellite. At 58, Chen was one of humanity's most experienced military commanders, having overseen the construction of defensive networks across dozens of human colonies. His weathered face showed no emotion as he observed the enemy ships dropping out of hyperspace. The Council fleet was impressive by any standard. 47 warships, representing 5 different alien civilizations, led by the massive Saurian dreadnought dominance. The ships arranged themselves in a standard intimidation formation, clearly expecting the human colonists to panic and surrender immediately. Enemy fleet is broadcasting surrender demands, reported Lieutenant Commander Sarah Park from the communications station. They're giving us 15 minutes to evacuate military personnel and prepare for occupation. Chen nodded calmly. Signal all units. Execute Operation Sleeping Giant. Across the New Horizon system, installations that had masqueraded as civilian infrastructure for over a decade began revealing their true nature. What the Council's intelligence network had identified as grain storage silos opened to reveal massive particle beam cannons. Mining platforms extended weapon arrays that had been disguised as or processing equipment. Even the system's asteroid mining operations suddenly bristled with defensive turrets and missile launchers. The 3 patrol ships the Council had detected were joined by 67 more vessels emerging from hidden bases inside hollow asteroids and camouflaged stations. What had appeared to be a lightly defended farming colony was actually one of humanity's most heavily fortified systems. General Zermath stared at his tactical display in disbelief as the number of human military assets continued to climb. This is impossible. Our deep space monitors show no indication of military buildup in this system. His tactical officer, a reptilian Saurian named Kethfa, worked frantically at his station. Sir, our sensors are being jammed. We cannot get accurate readings on human ship capabilities or numbers. The first shots of the battle came from an unexpected source. The New Horizon colony's primary agricultural platform, which had been broadcasting civilian identification codes for years, suddenly revealed itself as a mobile fortress. Hidden plasma cannons opened fire with devastating accuracy, striking the Council fleet's forward scouts before they could react. Captain Jake Morrison commanded the defense from his flagship, the heavy cruiser Harvest Moon, which had been disguised as a cargo hauler for the past 8 years. Morrison was a colony-born human who had never seen Earth, but he carried the determination of his species like a badge of honor. As his ship dropped its camouflage and revealed its true firepower, he opened a communication channel to the Council fleet. General Zermath, this is Captain Morrison of the New Horizon Defense Force. You came here expecting to find farmers and merchants. Instead, you've found soldiers who have been waiting for this day since the colony was founded. The battle that followed shattered every assumption the Galactic Council had made about human military capabilities. The Council ships, designed for intimidation and overwhelming firepower, found themselves outmaneuvered by human vessels that seemed to anticipate their every move. Where alien commanders relied on standard formations and predictable tactics, human captains employed strategies that had been refined through decades of preparation. Admiral Chen coordinated the defense from Corona Station, which revealed itself as a massive command and control center bristling with sensors and communication arrays. As he watched the tactical display, he saw patterns that the Council commanders couldn't recognize: human ships working in perfect coordination, supporting each other with precision that could only come from extensive training and shared doctrine. "Sir," reported his intelligence officer, Director Sarah Hayes, "we're receiving similar reports from 7 other systems. Council fleets are attacking colonies throughout human space, and all are encountering unexpected resistance." Hayes was the architect of humanity's greatest deception. For 30 years, she had overseen the intelligence operations that fed false information to Council spy networks. Every piece of data the aliens had received about human military capabilities had been carefully crafted to create the illusion of weakness while hiding the true scope of human preparation. "The beauty of it," Hayes explained to her staff as they monitored the battle, "is that they never understood what they were looking at. When their spies saw cargo ships, they didn't realize they were looking at warships with civilian hulls. When they detected industrial facilities, they missed the fact that our factories were producing military equipment. They saw what they expected to see, not what was actually there." The turning point of the battle came when General Zermath attempted to demonstrate Council superiority by targeting civilian areas of the colony. The massive dominance powered up its primary weapons and fired at what appeared to be a residential district. The plasma beam struck its target and was absorbed harmlessly by hidden defensive shields that had been integrated into the colony's infrastructure. "Impossible," Zermath growled. "No colony has defensive shields capable of stopping dread weapons." Captain Morrison's voice came over the communication channel, carrying grim satisfaction. "General, you still don't understand what you're facing. This isn't just a colony. This is a fortress world, and you've just declared war on the Terran Imperium." The words hit the Council commanders like a physical blow. The Terran Imperium was a name that had appeared in fragments of intercepted human communications, but intelligence. Analysts had dismissed it as propaganda or wishful thinking. The idea that humanity's scattered colonies were actually part of a unified military empire had been considered too absurd to investigate seriously, as if responding to Morrison's words. The space around New Horizon began to change. Long-range sensors detected massive energy signatures approaching from the outer system. What emerged from hyperspace made every Council captain question everything they thought they knew about human capabilities. The Imperial fleet had arrived, 12 Dreadnought-class vessels, each larger than the Council's flagship, dropped into normal space with perfect precision. These weren't the converted cargo ships and improvised warships the Council had expected to fight. These were purpose-built instruments of war, carrying technology that made Council vessels look primitive by comparison. Admiral Chen smiled as he watched the Imperial fleet take position. General Zermath, allow me to introduce you to the true human military. What you've been fighting are our colonial defense forces. These are our actual warships. The lead Imperial dreadnought, Invincible, dwarfed everything else in the system. Its captain, Rear Admiral Lisa Torres, opened a fleet-wide communication channel that reached every ship in the battle, human and alien alike. This is Admiral Torres of the Terran Imperial Navy. Council forces, you have 3 minutes to power down your weapons and prepare for boarding. Any vessel that continues hostile action will be destroyed without further warning. General Zermath's response was predictable. The Galactic Council does not surrender to primitive species. All ships concentrate fire on their flagship. The massed firepower of the remaining Council ships struck Invincible simultaneously and accomplished nothing. The Imperial dreadnought's shields absorbed the attack without even flickering. In response, a single shot from Invincible's main battery completely vaporized a Saurian battlecruiser. The massacre that followed lasted less than 10 minutes. Council ships that had terrorized dozens of species across the galaxy found themselves helpless against human technology they couldn't understand. Precision targeting disabled weapons and engines without destroying the ships entirely, leaving the alien crews alive but completely powerless. When the shooting stopped, General Zermath found himself staring at a tactical display that showed his entire fleet captured or destroyed. His flagship's engines were offline, weapons were not functional, and boarding parties were already cutting through the hull. Admiral Torres materialized on his bridge via holographic projection. Her image, calm and professional. General, I'm placing you and your forces under arrest for unprovoked aggression against human territory. You'll be held until we can arrange prisoner exchanges with your respective governments. This is impossible, Zermath repeated, his translator struggling with the defeat in his voice. Council. Director Hayes answered from her position aboard Corona Station, her voice carrying satisfaction earned through decades of careful planning. We didn't hide them, General. We built them. Every trade agreement your people signed with us included military-grade materials. Every cultural exchange brought us technical specifications. Every diplomatic meeting gave us intelligence on Council capabilities. For 30 years, we've been preparing for this exact moment. The scope of humanity's deception became clear as reports flooded in from across human space. Every Council fleet that had been sent to intimidate human colonies had been defeated or captured. What the aliens had thought was a collection of vulnerable farming worlds was actually a network of fortress systems, each capable of defending itself and supporting others. Admiral Chen addressed the captured Council forces from his command center, his words being broadcast throughout the galaxy. The Galactic Council made a fundamental error in judgment. You assumed that because humanity is young, we must be weak. You thought that because we seemed cooperative, we were subservient. You believed your own propaganda about primitive humans struggling to understand advanced alien civilization. He paused, letting his words sink in. The truth is that humanity has been observing you for 30 years. We've studied your tactics, analyzed your technology, and prepared for this confrontation. We didn't hide our strength. We simply chose not to display it until you forced our hand. The final revelation. came when Admiral Torres released previously classified information about the true scope of human space. The Galactic Council had been tracking 47 human colonies. The actual number was over 300, with military installations in systems the aliens didn't even know existed. "Ladies and gentlemen," Torres announced, "allow me to formally introduce you to the Terran Imperium. We are not the scattered farming communities you thought you were dealing with. We are a unified military power that spans half this galactic arm, and you have just declared war on us." General Zermath, now in human custody aboard his own ship, finally understood the magnitude of his species' mistake. "What do you want from us?" Admiral Chen's response carried the weight of an entire species' determination. "We want the same thing we've always wanted, General, to be left alone to build our civilization in peace. The Council could have had us as allies. Instead, you chose to make us your enemies. Now you'll have to live with the consequences of awakening the sleeping giant of humanity." As news of the battles spread throughout the galaxy, other species began to reconsider their own relationships with the mysterious humans. The Galactic Council's authority, built on 5,000 years of unchallenged supremacy, had been shattered in a single day by a species they had dismissed as irrelevant. The age of human expansion had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. Asterisk.